On today's episode of Let's Build This, we're going to dive into the first steps of specifically if you're an entrepreneur, how to target and pick a customer. And then, depending on the time, tomorrow we'll get into if you are an existing business, defining your customer. So stay tuned. And now a word from our sponsor, Anchor.fm. Here's the deal. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Let me start. In my first episode ever, I talked about fear. And fear comes from a lot of places, one of them being able to access technology. But Anchor FM is free. It's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They'll even distribute it for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a bunch more. And guess what? The coolest thing is they even connect you with sponsors if you want at no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's the deal. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, go to anchor.fm to get started or search in your app library for anchor.fm. All right. So start with a story. Uh, I've built a whole bunch of companies. I've helped a lot of people with their businesses, and I've cut my teeth on this targeted customer piece more than I can even explain. I think you heard me in the last episode talk about how when I came and acquired BPods, there was like 25 different avatars. And yeah, we could serve every single one of those people, right? Really hard though, because they all have slightly different needs. And with a small ragtag team, when we're jumping from golf course client to senior care to K-12 school to all of these um, different types of customers, all great customers, all opportunities. Part of the reason why BPods was such an attractive acquisition for me and my group. Um, and for us, we decided, hey, we got to narrow this down. And so this is what we did. We know in life and in sales and in marketing, there are three main motivators in that you use to market almost every single product or service out there. Okay? And one of the things that really is interesting as we understand this further is we begin to dive into the stories of who we want to work with. All right? But now we have to understand that tying it to one of those three main motivators. And those three main motivators are health, wealth, and relationships. Everything, every marketing out there, every sales campaign, everything you see out there in the world right now can be tied to one of those two. Prime example. I'm sitting there recently and, just was watching a, a show on we've got this television service where they still run commercials, and we're basically watching cable TV because it's part of a cell phone package. And we all see these commercials come up, and it starts with this older gentleman who's out in the grass with his wife, and they're having a great time, and all of a sudden this ad pops up. Hey, get this drug. And this drug, and so they talk about the drug, but the whole time what you're seeing is totally counterintuitive to what the drug is about. You're seeing this gentleman with his wife, you're seeing this mother with her kids, you're seeing this guy with his dog, right? So the whole premise is that at the end of the day, all they're selling relationships, but the product they're selling is a drug. It's a pharmaceutical. The point is this, is that when you're an entrepreneur, look at what's out there. Look at what people are doing. You don't think that any of the maybe you're like, this won't work for me to tie it to one of these three things. And I would go, no, like you're wrong. It can. You just got to take some time to think about it. If you take some time to think about it, um, it becomes really, really easy. And it becomes normal. And then you turn into me, where now every ad you look at or everything you see, you're going, oh, well, this is, there's the hook, there's the story. It's tied to wealth or health or relationships. And you go down this and you start looking at it. So the idea is that all these three motivators, everything used to be based just specifically around these three motivators for entrepreneurs, right? You had health, you had wealth, and you had relationships. And if you look back at history, especially in the last 20, 30 years, you see entrepreneurs and business owners who've mastered businesses around this. They've built $1 million businesses around health. They built $1 million businesses around wealth. Prime example, look at Beachbody. Beachbody has been around, they've been around for a long time, but they haven't been around for as long as everybody thinks they have. And they built their whole business around health. So you've got P90X, you've got the ab guy, you've got the woman who's all about the flexibility. You've got this suite of products and services that they're selling. They're all selling health. And then they mix in relationships into some of their ads, like that makes sense based on the target they're after. But the premise is it's health. Now, the challenge is if you're a new business, you can't just market to that, you can't sell to that whole group anymore, okay? So, and Beachbody even did this, right? So they built P90X for the people who they knew needed a specific style of business or specific like goals with their health. And then they've got nutrition and supplements, people who wanted weight loss, right? So then they fragmented it a little bit, right? They said, okay, I want to build muscle, and then I want to lose weight. All of these pieces all tied together. And what ended up happening is now you have these niches or verticals or niches, depending on how you pronounce it. But all of these different people end up selling to a sub niche, right? And so the point is, as an entrepreneur, look at those three motivators, then take a look again and go, great, where in this realm can I be really good at building offerings around, and then tying it even further to a specific vertical, right? So with bee pods, right, we have products around beekeeping. Beekeeping is a billions of dollars, right? 15 plus billion in pollination services just in California every year. But that's billions of dollars. We don't do pollination, right? No, we said, hey, cool, beekeeping. Then, so we said, okay, we're going to get into equipment initially. So we got into equipment, but then there's all of these providers of equipment. And so then we said, you know what? We're actually, instead of selling the aspect of like production, which would be wealth, we said, no, we're going to focus on relationships and health as our two big motivators. So relationships being, we sell to a lot of families as this is like a pastime. And so we even narrowed down the system and the offering to that, where we're not about even competing with those other producers. So we catered our products to that specific niche and that specific need. And now we sell a version of a top bar hive. It's a vented top bar hive. It's proprietary. It's all this stuff. So nobody can compete with us. We're the only ones in this industry of beekeeping, this large industry of beekeeping, which is all mostly about agriculture and production and money making. And we focused on, no, we're going to sell relationships and we're going to tie it in. We're going to target a lot of homeowners and parents who have kids, as this can be a relationship building with your kids to get them outside so that they can experience the world around them. All right. So look at it this way. You start with those three motivators. You break it down to the area you want to be in, right? So we said beekeeping. Then we shifted it and tied it even further with, hey, great, we can't just sell this to everybody who's interested in it. No, we had to tie it even tighter into backyard beekeepers or hobbyists. And now we begin to build this halo effect. So now after we've narrowed that down and we nailed that year after year after year after year, now we also sell to schools, still based on relationships, teachers engaging with their students, right? Still relationships. And we sell often all of our stuff is about building relationships and pulling people into community. So golf courses bring us on and we build programming around it because they're trying to build relationships with the community outside of the members of the course. So all of these pieces take some time and dig into what exactly area you're selling in: wealth, health, relationships. Understand the delivery system, because that's all your product is the delivery system for health, wealth, or relationships. And then take it a step further and go, great, well, I'm not going to do that to everybody. I'm going to target a specific group of people with a specific set of needs and get really good at that. Okay, that way you do not feel like you're overwhelmed all the time because it doesn't make any sense to be. Make sense? I know we're going to go through this more and more over the next week, but just keep that in mind. All right. So with that, enjoy, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one.